Okay. And so you're helping people like walk through that process, helping them, where to click, what to do. If you're a novice, I mean, so we like to teach people to stay in their strengths, right?
Right.
And so their strength is operating within what they do in business, but you're somebody who can run next to them very quickly, very easily around this, which is your strength and talent, and saying, you know what, let's click on this, Google yourself, or, like what you said with the SEO, if you're trying these things out, you're not showing up, this is a reason why you're not getting leads. And so you're asking and really giving some great information in a very quick timeline. But this
Yeah.
is another thing. Okay, so we want to get to know you, Jared, just a little bit more. And on your profile, you are an Ikigai coach. Now, when you and I talked on the phone, you said it's a Japanese term. So can you share with our audience, what is that you coach on, and tell us about it?
Oh, I would love to, and I'm so glad you asked that. It's so funny, the timing. I just recently did a post where I shared a shortened version of my slide deck that I did in a presentation about Ikigai, which is pronounced Ikigai. It is a Japanese concept, and a lot of people, I do believe, have heard of it. It's essentially the intersection of four major circles. And on one end of it, what you've got is, and it's where people typically start off, right? They're going for the education. They go and get their training, they get a degree, then they start looking for a job, then they start to move up the career ladder, and finally they start to ask, is this all there is? So now they're starting to think about passion and purpose and all that. That is what I would call a backwards C. What I would suggest instead is look at what the world needs and look at your passion. Look at that intersection. And if you look at the diagram that I've posted, and feel free to connect with me, and I'm glad to share the diagram. But I modified the original diagram. There's tons of versions of them out there, but I made it be more applicable to careers. And I actually did a little bit of the mnemonic trick. It comes down to 4 Ps. So the things that you're looking for are passion, you've got purpose, you've got pursuit, and then you've got profession. That's the order that I would suggest you're doing it in, is to start in more of a true, what are you all about, right? Taking that assessment, knowing what you, like you were just saying, knowing your strengths, what can you add to the world? Because literally that's part of these 4 circles. It's knowing what the world needs. Then can I get paid for it? Am I good at it? Can I get better at it? And finally, oh, I'm loving this, right? It all just comes circling around again.
Yes.
And if you find that sweet middle spot, that's Ikigai. And that's really what I want at the end of the day. That's what I really want to be helping people with, because it's not just about getting that next lead. It's not just about getting the next job. I want to make sure in both cases, you're loving the career that you're doing, whether you're the entrepreneur or you're in the traditional career, but you're loving it. You are in charge. As Stephen Covey would have said, that ladder is not up against the wrong wall. Your Ikigai is the right wall. It's your wall.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So right there, that's kind of the process in which you help people get into the careers that they love, but it's a very strategic approach to it. It's not like you just kind of vet through some questions. I mean, you are saying, we're going to talk about passion, purpose, pursuit. It's going to lead to the profession that's really going to light you up. And when you're in that level of alignment, I describe that as being very, peaceful and very easy. And when it's peaceful and easy, we want to keep doing it. And that's what keeps the sustainability factor of you're happy, you're consistent, you're, everything, just all engines are getting fired. Plus your energy level stays at an all-time high when you're in that space.
Oh.
So, have you ever experienced that? So as I share that, what are you hearing right there?
Right when you say that, 2 things that come to mind. The first thing, in one word, flow. The way you're describing it, right? When all of that comes together, it's flow. When all of that clicks, and I would take it to another level. Brendan Burchard has a book that he came out with recently called High Performance Habits. And he talks about, not just in the book, but in general, you'll hear him talk about confidence as well as competence. So you may be really good at something, but let's say you don't like it. It's not what you want to do. You may have risen up in the ranks. You may have gotten thrown into a director position, and now you're really struggling. It's not what you wanted. You're not a leader. You'd rather be a contributor. Who knows, right? That's where the confidence now plays, in fact, into it. And sorry to do this, but here comes another segue that makes me come to mind. The 6 Human Needs by Tony Robbins. It's like life is in so many aspects a paradox, one big, huge paradox, right? We all have these competing needs, but it's so true. And it's just like Ikigai. Ikigai gives you both ends of it. You may be doing something you love, but it might be like a starving artist. You're never going to get paid for it. Now, what you need to do is try to find that middle ground. And at the same time, how can you get better at your craft? Let's say in that same example, painting. And at the same time, who's going to want to buy your painting? If you can find the intersection of all those areas, now you found that flow, the human needs, you are on fire, you're passionate, you've got the flow. It just all comes together.
Well, and we attract to it because we're all listening to it. We can hear within your voice right now, you're automatically a magnet to anyone on this episode because we're just enamored by what you are sharing. And you've put a lot of study and research. I mean, you coach on it. You have tied this all together so beautifully in the language that you speak and how you speak it, how you bring people to that space and understanding it, and then helping them, show them the way to do it. So, wow, what a gift. Okay, so we are wrapping up and coming to the close of our episode. Where can we find you?
Predominantly on LinkedIn, of all places.
Right, okay.
So an easy way to do it too is it's my full name, Jared, Jared, Jwiese, and you can find me that way on LinkedIn. But another quick way is you can put in profiles that pop, and that should also turn me up on LinkedIn and on the web.
Of course, because you know what? You're the master of that.
That's right.
Easy to find you, my friend. Okay, so to learn more about Jared, you can simply visit our website at marlohiggins.com, where you can learn how to connect to Jared and add him to your circle of influence. Thank you so much, Jared, for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
What an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Marlo.
We invite you to share this podcast with others, and we thank you in advance for that. This is Marlo Higgins, your host and Chief Inspirational Officer. Have an awesome rest of your day. As your Chief Inspirational Officer, I coach executives to gain clarity and remove self-doubt to increase performance in sales. To book a complimentary coaching session with me, simply visit marlohiggins.com and click on the Work With Me tab to schedule a call. Did you like this podcast? If so, subscribe and share with all of your friends. And if you want even more awesome resources to gain clarity and remove self-doubt, plus some personal insights from me that I only share in email, get yourself over to marlohiggins.com and sign up for the email updates. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next week on 22 Motivational Minutes with Marlo. If you're into it, subscribe, leave a review, and tell all of your friends. We would sure appreciate it.